Hi everyone, this is Professor Boswell. I wanted to take some time this week to talk to you about MLA formatting. We're going to talk a little bit about how to format your papers and also how to format your citations for research-based papers. I'd like to be quite transparent that all of the material that I put together in this PowerPoint presentation was retrieved from the Purdue OWL website, which I have cited at the end of the presentation. I know that for some of you in feedback on your papers so far, I have mentioned the Purdue OWL website, and I would like to reiterate to you that it really is a very comprehensive source for both grammar instruction, but also MLA formatting and style. First, I want to talk to you a little bit about general essay format. So there are a couple things that you're going to see multiple times. One of them is to double space everything. Of course, we're not really typing on paper because we are working in the online environment, but typically if you were on campus, you would be using 8.5 by 11 paper, white paper. This is obvious, but it is part of MLA formatting. So you need to double space everything. This is what you're going to see a couple of times because it's so important that you do this. And when I say everything, I mean everything from your name, which is the first thing on the paper, all the way to your very last citation on your works cited page. You want to use 12-point Times New Roman or similar font, so it should be easy to read. The font should remain the same from the very beginning to the very end. It should not change. You leave only one space after ending punctuation. So you guys, for the most part, are pretty young. When I was growing up, it was 2 spaces after punctuation. So that has changed, I believe, as of 2008. So again, that was like 12 years ago already. So a lot of you don't even remember doing 2 spaces after punctuation. But according to MLA formatting, as of, like I said, 2008, you only leave 1 space after punctuation. All of your margins are set to 1 inch on all 4 sides of the paper. Now, if you're using Microsoft Word, this should be your default settings, but you can easily double check that. And if you need any help figuring that out, by all means, let me know. Indent the first line of paragraphs 1/2 inch, which is hitting the tab 1 time. So I noticed that some of you were submitting your writing in a block format, which is fine for some business letters, but for academic purposes, you want to do double spacing and indent the first line of each paragraph. You also want to include a header with page numbers in the upper right-hand corner. You don't need to do that for this class, but just for future reference, that's standard MLA format. I don't know if you heard my dog bark just a moment ago. If you did, I apologize for the distraction. Formatting continued, no title page. You don't need an extra title page. Again, double space everything. In the upper left-hand corner of the first page, you're going to put your name, your instructor's name, the course, and the date. And I'm going to show you a sample in just a minute. You want to center the paper title. So one thing is that all writing that you submit should have a title. It should have an original title. So you should give everything that you do for class a title. It might be response to such and such question for like a written response, but it also might be something that lets the reader know what to expect in the paper. That's most appropriate. You want to use standard caps or book caps, which means to say that the first letter of each main word is capitalized. You do not underline, italicize, put quotation marks around, or put in bold any of the font in your title. It should look exactly like the font on the rest of your paper. So what I did on this slide, by putting it in a larger font size, would not be correct MLA formatting, okay? And then the running header, I'm going to let that go. We don't really need to talk about that because we're not going to do that. So this is what a sample first page will look like. You'll notice that the writer's last name and page number are in the upper right-hand corner. Like I said, for my purposes, you don't need to do that. So it'll be at the top of the page, your name, my name. Of course, I'm not Dr. B Boilermaker, but this is just a sample. The course, which is English 100, then the date. Now, this is standard formatting for MLA, but it's okay if you put October 12, 2008. Switch it around the way we usually do it. But this is if you're getting really serious and you're in grad school and you have to submit something in MLA format, this would be the style you would put it in. And then finally, you'll notice the title is centered. Now, this is a 2-line title. So one thing I want to point out here is that the top line is longer than the second line. And so that's kind of how you want to format it if your title is too long to take up one line. And then the first paragraph starts indented, 1 tab, or a 1/2 inch. Notice also from the very beginning all the way through, it's double spaced. There's no extra space between the date and the title, no extra space between the title and the first paragraph. Everything is double spaced. All right, so this kind of concludes the first part of this presentation, which is just talking about MLA formatting for your essays and any assignments that you submit for a grade. And stay tuned, and we'll talk about in-text citations next.